across every time zone, covering both hemispheres. It's time for another feature music special. We got a kick-ass rock band coming your way for the next hour. If you're into heavy metal, you're into rock and roll, you're going to want to stick and stay for this show. The band's based out of Long Island. I don't know a whole lot about them other than I've been reading what I could on Facebook and listening to their music. It's going to be a pleasure to welcome the guys and gal from Terror Garden. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Well, we're going to have a chance to talk with 4 of the 5 band members. Tonight, the bass player, Tony, can't be with us, but you know what? I couldn't pronounce his last name anyway, but, well, maybe next time he'll be joining us.
Well, it's his birthday tonight, so happy birthday, Tony.
Oh, great.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Hey,
Love you long time.
how old is Tony?
Too old.
29.
So, in other words, he must be, if you won't acknowledge his age, he must be old.
Oh, he's old.
That's okay.
He's not even the oldest one in the band. That's the shocking part.
That's all right. You guys.
He fought dust. Yes.
Well, happy birthday, Tony. We have with us the following. We have Paul Terror, the vocalist. Hello, Paul.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
We got guitarist and vocalist Johnny Warchild. Hello, Johnny.
Greetings, salutations.
And we have a female drummer. This is way cool. We're going to talk a lot about that, and that is Guy. Hello, Guy.
G.
Gee, now see, I asked you that at the beginning of the show. Now, I can't hear too well. I played in bands 42 years. My hearing ain't so good no more. Okay, I thought...
I understand completely.
See, I even asked her before the show, and I still got it wrong. Well, welcome anyway, G. If I can't pronounce your name, I got it right now. And
You're good.
we have Mike DeGruchy with us, who's the guitarist and vocalist. Mike, did I get your last name right?
Yes, you did. Hey, everyone.
Well, welcome. Now, Mike set up the show, so I'm going to start the questioning with Mike. He went through the trouble of arranging everything for the band, so he gets first shot here. Well, Mike, you got to give us the overview of the band, and then I'd like to talk to you about your music. But first, give us background, a little what am I trying to say? Synopsis? That's for books. But what's the scoop on the band?
Okay, well, basically we're a hard rock, heavy metal band out of Long Island. The band started back in 2010. Paul, Johnny, and Gina are all original members. I joined the band 2 years ago, and ever since then, when we have a new record out, and continually playing along the Long Island area, and looking to expand our sound on a more national and regional level, and just really happy to be here on the interview and sharing our music with everyone.
You guys got a good band. You guys are some skilled players, and you guys know what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, man.
Let's direct this one to G. G, when did you start with the band?
I started back in 2010 with Paul, actually. Me and him kind of, I think did we do a cover thing first, and then we did this? I can't remember.
It's funny because I was playing in a band, and the band was ending, and she was playing in a band next to us. And in all honesty, they were god-awful. And I heard these drums, and the drums sounded great. And I'm like, damn, that drum is good, you know? So I waited till after the rehearsals were over, and I stuck my head in, and I see the skinny little chick behind the drums, and I'm like, is that the drummer's girlfriend? I'm like, oh, wait, that's the drummer. And I was like, oh, my God. So then I said to her, listen, my band's breaking up. Why don't me and you hook up? We'll get something together. And then we took it from there. And then for like 2 years, the two of us were going through guitarist and going through bassist until we found Johnny and this other guy. And then it took us a little while longer to finally get a good bass player, which we got Tony in. And then we decided to go for a double guitar sound. And that's how we hooked up with Mike.
Well, folks, that was...
That's why I keep him around.
Yeah, that's the whole Terror Garden tale.
Mike's got a good...
I was forming this thing. I didn't know what I was going to do because I had a bit of success back in the 90s with this band Trash Can Baby, and we had some EMI distribution and duplication, and then we hooked up with Demon Doll Records, and I wasn't sure what I was going to name the band or anything, so I was driving and I heard Soundgarden, and my name's Paul Terra, so I decided to name the band Terra Garden. So,
Now,
and then me and Gina just took it from there, and here we are today.
Paul, is that a stage name or is that your actual name?
It depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
If you talk to the police, it's my name.
Good.
If you talk to the IRS, it's my stage name.
Well, I mean, you got, folks, that was the voice of Paul Terra, but now we have Johnny Wildchild, guitarist.
Hello.
Now, Johnny, is that your real name?
That's my real nickname.
Good. Very good.
My real name is Sirsik. It's a real tongue-twisting Yugoslavian name with no vowels whatsoever. But I got my nickname by a dear friend of mine who passed. He's another singer on Long Island. His name was Joey D. And they had a song called Wild Child. Before Wasp had the song Wild Child, but after the Doors wrote Wild Child. And since I was a street urchin, always getting into trouble, never home, never in my house, always out and about, he nicknamed me Johnny Wildchild back in 1984, and it stuck. And now I'm senior citizen Johnny Wildchild now.
Hey, we're old school. That's the way we like to look at it. Hey, I interviewed a guy named Robert Lockwood Jr. back, it was in the early 2000s. He was at a gig in Cleveland at a ballroom, maybe 500 people. It was his third or fourth gig of the week, 96 years old. He played guitar. So,
Wow.
yeah, I know.
For us, great.
I'm about to turn 60, and it's freaking me out. But, there's still a lot of gigs out there. All right, let's get into a cut from our band, Terra Garden. The first track I'd like to play, guys, is Reality Check. Johnny, we didn't get to talk to you much in this previous segment, so why don't you tell us about Reality Check and what we're about to listen to?
Okay, no problem. Reality Check was pretty much almost completely written by our newest guitar player, Mike DeGrucci. He brought the song to us at the first practice audition that we had when we were looking for two guitar players. And not only did he learn all the previous songs note for note, there was no need to audition anybody else. He also came with this song, and it was pretty much intact. And we added a little bit to it, and we terrorized it, as Paul would say. And it's kind of a retro, Great White, Guns N' Roses-y kind of dirty kind of song,
Well, let's check it out, everybody.
All right.
Cool.
I told you these guys are some kick-ass rockers. You guys are excellent tune. And Mike, you wrote that, huh?
Instrumentally, a good portion of it, yeah.
Well, outstanding. That's kick-ass tune. You guys are some skilled players.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
so much, man.
I don't know. I'm old school. I like to see people that can actually play their instruments, not, well, I better not go down that road. I get enough hate mail the way it is. All right, there you
Well,
go.
we're used to that, so.
Well, gee, it's, now see, sometimes I don't know whether I'm starting this sentence with gee, I don't know what I'm going to say, or whether I'm talking to the drummer. So, gee, it is so unique to have a female drummer. I played about 3,000 paid gigs, never once played with a female drummer. Saw a couple from here and there, but you're an excellent drummer. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
See, now I can't use all the drummer jokes. Like, what do you call a drummer? Well, in your case, I'm going to have to modify. What do you call a drummer without a boyfriend?
Homeless.
There you go. Yeah. What do you?
Sometimes you don't have to modify it, actually.
Well,
Yes.
very good.
Yes. We won't go into any personal details, but yes.
No, but yeah, there you go.
Whatever floats your boat. What do you call people who hang out with musicians?
The drummer.
Drummers.
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry. Most
I knew
people,
that one.
envy drummers and guitar players. I don't know, lead singers. I'm a piano player. Nobody wants to be the piano player. It's just like the guy who's over there in the background. That's me. But well, gee, how did you start playing drums?
Actually, I was young. I was about 8 years old, and I was watching MTV when it first started, and I saw a Joan Jett video, followed by the Go-Go's, actually.
Ah.
And I kind of just I looked at my mom, and I was like, I think I want to do that, And my mom kind of looked at me for a second and was like, okay, whatever's cool, And then I saw this class program for a Saturday morning thing in an elementary school, and there was cooking classes and karate classes, and then it said drum, and I was like, I kind of think I want to do that. And my parents were really awesome, and were very supportive, and I actually was the only girl in the class, and I walked in and I started learning on that little 6-inch drum pad with a pair of sticks, and a number of years later, here I am.
What kind of kit do you like to play? Is it acoustic? Is it electronic?
Acoustic all the way. I got a Pearl. I'm partial to Pearls. They're great.
Our drummer has the old drum set from the band Devo. And you guys remember Devo?
Very well. I
Absolutely.
remember seeing
Yeah.
them.
Whip it good. It's a giant, very expensive Roland set.
Yeah, those sound great.
Sounds wonderful, but it takes 3 men and a boy to move it and set it up. Not that it's heavy. It's just, and you know what our drummer,
Yep.
after every gig, my drummer looks over at me and says the same thing. He says, Z-Man, I should have played the piccolo.
Yeah.
Well, the
I
male
always say
organ.
I'm going to be a singer in my next life. I'll be a singer.
there you
Because
go.
carrying this stuff, man, oof,
A lot of gear.
it's a lot.
A lot of gear to move around. And did your neighbors hate you when you got your first kit?
I'm sure they did. I grew up in in Long Beach, which is pretty much like Queens. You're right on top of each other. So I'm sure my dad had some talks with the neighbors and made some agreements.
And it's just the way it is when you're a musician. Well, all right, let's go back to Johnny. Johnny, how'd you get your start in music altogether?
Well, when I was in grade school, I was a kid that got picked on all the time with the glasses and the short, greasy hair. I was very, very much a Waldo, and I needed something to do with my time since I wasn't good at sports, and I didn't have a lot of friends at the time. So I started playing trumpet in the school band. I learned how to read music, and after a while, I said, this isn't for me at all. And I listened to Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, The Song Remains the Same live album, and that just changed my life. And I said, I'm going to play guitar from now on. And around that time, I got rid of my glasses and got contact lenses, grew my hair out, and lo and behold, I was treated completely differently than I was 2 2 months ago, and I became a rock and roll guy, and that's how I started playing guitar.
Isn't that amazing? You put a guitar in
Yeah.
your hand and you can be totally undesirable to the female species, but when you got that guitar in your hand, I don't know, something changes.
Yeah, and you know what the funny part was? It just changed the way I thought about myself, too. You know, I had more confidence. I walked with more confidence. I acted and spoke, you know, like I deserve something better in life, which is the reason why I play music, you know?
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's not easy getting up on stage in front of a bunch of strangers that may like you, may not. Maybe we'll talk a little later in the broadcast about the mayhem you witness at gigs. If you play long enough, folks, you're going to see about everything. But
Sure.
well, Mike, what about you? Give me a crazy story from your career, Mike. Anything nuts happened to you while you're at a live gig?
Oh, plenty. Where to start?
Pick one.
I remember when I was playing a gig with a previous band that I had, and they actually turned the the lights out as we were playing because they wanted to save electricity. that was a totally true story. Never heard that one in my life. I once organized a whole gig in the city, and then as soon as it was time for my band to play, they completely shut the show down, and I had to basically scream at the guy for a good half hour in order to get my band to play because they were supposed to have some kind of DJ or dance night. And then ironically, when we were done, I think there were like 2 people there at the end. So, yeah. So you deal with that kind of stuff when you've been in the scene long enough, especially in Long Island and New York. We all know that very well.
Well, the indie bands, we get treated like shit. Let's face it. Come on. That's the way it works, and that's probably the way it's always going to work. You're strangled by the record label, strangled by the corporate radio and music business. It is, in the words of Donald Trump, a shithole business, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't think we're allowed to say that on the radio.
Very true.
Okay, Paul, since you probably are singing this next one, the next track I have queued up is Deep. Tell us about this one.
That's a good one.
Okay. Well, Deep, I wrote that for friends and for friends of friends and family of friends. Song is about loss and how to deal with it. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a friend. You know, as well as I, the older you get, time runs out for certain people. And song's about carrying on after you lose somebody.
You're listening to the music of Terror Garden, tonight's featured music special on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. Folks, you know we've been doing this for, 23 years, starting our 24th year in March of 2019. Had about 10,000 musicians, about 7,000 authors on, and another 1,000 or two visual artists on. We built this station to help the little guy. In the shithole business known as the music industry in America, the artist is always put last. The last one paid. Hey, did a show with Tommy James and the Shondells last year. He wrote a book, Me, the Mob, and the Music, and they ripped him off for $30 million. Just one small example of the lousy business it is in America, and it's a very tough thing to be an independent artist, and we welcome the folks from Terror Garden. Hey, that was a great song there, guys. Gee, you had a couple of nice triplets in there, man. You can play them drums.
Thank you. I've had a lot of practice.
Well, let's talk about the recording aspect. First of all, and Paul, I'm going to go to you on this first. Where do you record?
Well, I had this friend of mine, Pete, who used to roadie for my band back in the 90s. And he always used to say to me, "Oh, I'm tired of moving speakers. I want to get a studio." Well, 20 years later, this guy has one of the most incredible studios I've been in. It's Crescent Studios, and it's located in Farmingdale, New York. And I recorded my last album with one of my former bands there, and it was just such a great experience. I said, listen, if we're going to go and record, let's do it right. Let's go to the right person. He knows what kind of sound. His name is Pete Pizzo, and he owns Crescent Studios in Farmingdale, New York, and he's just a fantastic engineer and producer to work with.
Did you say
That's
Pete?
also a special shout out to him. He did a whole lot for this album.
Pizzo is his name? As in Pizzo Tweeters?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Well, if you're old enough,
Yeah,
you'll know they
yeah.
used to make Pizzo Tweeters. Long story.
Yep.
Well, the studio can be a tough animal for some folks. When that recording light comes on, some people get a little nervous. I guess I'm revealing myself.
Oh, no. We do the opposite. We get excited, and we just belt it out. We give it our all because we know, hey, this is going to be out there for life. So if you're going to do it, you do it right.
You are absolutely correct, Paul. You may have the greatest gig of all time live, and it won't matter over time. What you do in the studio.
We're looking forward to going back in there. We just took like the last 6-7 weeks off, and we came up with a couple of great new tunes, and really looking forward to going back in to record.
Well, let's go to Johnny for this one. Johnny, are you more comfortable playing a live gig or recording in the studio?
It's kind of asking what's better. Is beer or pizza better? You need both in life. I love it both.
Yes.
The energy of a live performance is really amazing because you're getting your music across to the crowd, and the reaction from the crowd back to you is what energizes this band and all the bands I've ever been in, especially Terror Garden. But when you're in the studio, isolated from the world, your job is to recreate your own music that you've written in the best possible fashion without losing the energy of a live performance. And I think we accomplished that with Pete Pizzo recording Karma and Chaos. All five of us are very proficient musicians, and we all kick ass in the studio. There's no studio fear. So I would say that you need both.
Well, that is the correct answer, and you will get an extra chocolate milk after this afternoon's recess.
Yay!
Put that down. How about you, Mike DeGrucci, the guitar player / vocalist? Is the studio a comfortable home for you?
Oh yeah, I had a great time recording my parts at Pete's house, and it's always a good feeling when you have, an idea can go from, just something that you have humming in your head to out on a record for the public to hear. It's, it feels really good. Even with the new stuff we've been writing so far, I keep listening to the new ideas over and over because it's catchy and it gets in your head and makes you feel good. I can't wait to get the even newer stuff that we've written out there. So,
Well, what's the process? Somebody comes. I guess I'll let you answer the question. What is the process of writing music with you guys, and to get it to a studio ready?
Let Paul take the answer. He can explain it better. Take it, Paul.
All right, Paul.
It's fun.
Writing with us, we're old school. We all get into a room, and hey, I got an idea. Hey, I got an idea. And we'll all bounce off of each other, which is why our first CD was called Specimen Cup. It's kind of like creating a baby. When you create a new CD, it's like having a kid without being kept up all night. It's everybody puts in there a little bit. Nobody comes down and says, "Oh, I got a song and blah blah. It's written in stone." Everybody throws their little piece in. G throws her dynamic sound. Johnny will throw his sound of how he wants his guitar. Mike will do the same. Tony, me, we all bounce off of each other, and every song is a group effort.
That's I hate to say this, but musicians can be a lot like herding cats. Musicians are special people. I'm saying that in a good way, but opinions can sometimes take over the situation. So the fact that you guys can all get along and all compromise on a song is actually, I think, rather unique in the musicians I've met. So bravo on that.
You know what it is?
We're more like a family than a band.
Yeah, and also, we also believe in the song, the groove. We call the band a groove metal band, because the groove of the song defines it all. It's not about who can play the fastest guitar solos or who can shriek the highest vocals or the quickest drum fills. What matters for the song. We're slaves to the song. The song has to be fantastic, and we're like cooks, all stirring the same witch's brew at the same time.
Folks, that's Johnny Wildchild's voice there, and what he's talking about, I'm going to translate it. It's the bass player and the foot of the drummer. You can't get a groove.
That's where the groove is.
That's where the groove lies, folks, with G's bass foot and Tony's fingers. Now, Tony plays a 4-string bass. We're going to have to talk to him about that next time he's on. But that's for another matter. Sometimes
he plays a 5-string also, depending on the song.
Yes.
Excellent. I think that's necessary in today's music. And in the studio, G, do they start with you? Do they put down the drum tracks, or drum, bass, and guitar at the same time? How does that mechanically work?
Yes, I do go first. My parts are obviously recorded first. Tony, I believe sometimes maybe, he does always, everybody plays with me, but sometimes maybe Tony will keep some of his bass stuff, but usually it's just me that we're aiming to record at that time, and keep the final track.
Well, you have to set the time, right? I mean, the drummer has to set the time. It's like making the blueprint or setting down the roadmap of where the rest of the song goes. It's from an engineering standpoint, it's absolutely critical. All right,
we don't use quick tracks either. Gina just lays it down at the tempo that we play it, and
Yeah, I'm not proud of that though. I kind of want to use a click track. I that is my only thing. I am a little bit anal about that, like with the timing. It's my job, so they're not. I did not use one on either one of our CDs, but that could change in the future.
That's special because it's difficult. You're a human being. So, and human beings will vary a little bit. That's just the way it is. That's the way the good Lord made us. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the energy comes across, obviously, maybe a little bit better, without the click. I don't mind it. I actually prefer to record to a click. But, there's no right or wrong way, really. But, it does make it easier also for editing and everything. And all that, so.
Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, Terror Garden is our group. We're just getting into another track. We'll play it first and then let the band tell us about it afterwards. Here we go. excellent music. Terror Garden is our band. Paul, what did we just listen to?
That song was called One More Line.
Yeah, takes me back to the old 80s. What are you going to do?
Some people, they just live their life in excess, and some people live their life in moderation. The ones that seem to live their life in excess don't last too long.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
We had a... God, I'm sobering up all of a sudden here. We lost our percussionist and marimba player, percussionist extraordinaire in my very first band, overdosed on cocaine and died on April Fool's Day, 1985. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that. It's usually musicians dabbling with drugs, and then in the end it becomes drug addicts dabbling with music.
Well put. Very well put.
Sad.
Now, let's look. There is obviously doing illegal drugs at gigs is doing something illegal, but what about having a few beers? I'm going to go to you, Mike, first. At a live gig, do you guys have a couple cocktails? Uh-oh, we just lost somebody.
Uh-oh. Did Mike leave?
Well,
No,
I definitely do.
actually, we might have just... Tony?
we've toned down a little bit recently, but yeah, I mean, we have maybe one or two to kind of loosen up and just get the vibe right
Bottle.
for playing live.
Yeah, one
we're
or two
not-
bottles. No, I'm
A
kidding.
couple of bottles. We're not, we're not, we're not abstaining.
We're not going on stage pissed drunk. Is basically what.
Yeah, we don't go on stage pissed drunk. We're not puking in buckets. None of that. No.
Well, but
No
it
way.
does help a little bit. Like you say, all things in moderation. There are always some nerves going on. There's always the potential that something's going to go wrong, and you might have to react. But folks, I'm seeing on the screen that we've been joined by somebody. Could that possibly be Tony?
It
hope so.
is.
Hey, happy
absolutely is.
birthday.
Thank you.
Hey, Tony, happy birthday. They wouldn't tell us how old you are, so they were covering for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I listened to the first part of the show before I called in because I was out to dinner and everything. So,
How was KFC?
KFC. No, it wasn't KFC. No.
Well, Tony,
Wasn't KFC.
you've been AWOL here for the broadcast, so let me throw a few questions at you. When did you get started in music? How young were you when you knew this was something you were going to do?
My first gig, I was 7.
Really?
Yeah, I was 7 years old. I played my first bar gig when I was 7. My father is a guitarist singer, and their drummer didn't show up for a show, and they needed somebody to play, and I was playing drums at the time, so they threw me behind the kit, and that was my first gig, and I was a drummer up until about the age of 9, and I kind of got drafted onto the bass because there were no bass players around. So somebody needed one, and they threw me a bass and said, "Here, play this."
Well, you're right. There still
So I
aren't
said,
any
okay.
bass players around. You come to Northeastern Ohio, you'll get 100 offers to play bass. They're hard to find. That's unfortunate.
There was a time in New York where there were very few bass players around.
Well, we were just, I was, earlier before you joined us, I was looking at some pictures and saw you had a 4-string bass, but they told me now you're playing a 5-string sometimes.
Every once in a while when it's needed, I have a tendency to use the 4-string bass pretty well. I do a lot of offset tuning, like odd tunings, but I primarily play a 4-string bass. But I feel that I can do whatever I need to do on a 4-string. I don't need the extra strings.
We just like that fat bottom, that low end that it's hard to duplicate.
Well, it depends on how you EQ. It depends on your amplification. It depends on how your bass is set up. It depends on what kind of pickups you have. There's a whole bunch of different variables that you can go through that you really don't need to add another string.
Well, and if you have a keyboard player in a band like in our band, my keyboard goes 2 octaves below 2 octaves
Really?
below the bass. So if you really need something that, there's other instruments out there if that's what you desire. But Tony, do you come from a family of musicians? You just talked about your dad and his band. Do you have brothers and sisters, and was your mom involved?
No. Well, my mom sang background in my father's band for a short period, but my sister really, she played flute in a marching band in school, but other than that she really doesn't do music at all.
I did that.
So I'm pretty much, I think my father still plays, I don't know, but, I'm pretty much the legacy as far as that goes.
Now, excellent. Carry on. I wanted to mention this, but before Tony joined us, and it wasn't the last song. The last song did have nice background vocals and lead vocals, of course. But the song prior to that, the song that you, Paul, you were talking about the loss of a friend, and that. I just wanted to say, the backups on that tune were outstanding. Well done.
Paul taught us how to sing.
Man, I'd like to put that one in our rotation. We'll have to ask you guys about that when the show's over.
But you got to thank the Beatles. You got to thank the Beatles for that, because I think every band in the world that has that 4 or 5 part harmony has to thank them.
Well,
Yes.
the beautiful harmonies are hard to beat. You can play great music and stuff, but when people can sing and can sing together, and it's just, to me, that's outstanding. Well done.
Well, that's funny
Thank you.
because that comes to a new song that we just wrote, and it's called "You Can't Sing for Shit."
Oh, you didn't send
And
it to
that's
us.
going to be on our new Terra Garden CD. That song's basically about turning channels and watching American Idol and The Voice and all these other talent shows, or putting on Facebook on a Sunday afternoon and seeing some of the things that happened the night before. It's very comical in 2019, so we decided to write about it.
Well, when you guys send it to us, we'll see if we can fit it into our rotation. Folks, if you're just joining us, Terror Garden is the band. They're from Long Island. The CD we're talking about tonight, I don't think I mentioned this because I'm not very good at my job, but it's called Karma and Chaos. And I'll tell you what, you should see the CD cover. Outstanding CD cover. Who put that together, G?
I believe Paul, right? You did that?
No, that was Mike. That was Mike.
Mike. Sorry, Mike. See, I just play drums. I don't know.
Mike, well done. That's one of the better CD covers I've seen in quite a while.
Yep. The artwork was designed by an artist named Celtica Harmony, and she puts out some great work. You could check out her website, and it just seemed very fitting for the title that we were going for, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback about the artwork, so we're very proud of it.
Outstanding. We're going to try. We're running out of time. The 8 o'clock show is rapidly approaching. We're going to try to squeeze 2 more songs in. Let's see. What is this one? This one is called Emotionless. Folks, our band is Terror Garden. Let's check this out.
Can't believe you packed it up and ran away from me. So far away, so far away. Just run away.
Outstanding band, ladies and gentlemen. Terror Garden from Long Island, New York. These guys can play. Oh, and G can play too. Did you hear that, drummer? Damn, you got a fast foot, G. I'm telling you, you are a kick-ass drummer. Well, guys,
thank you.
You're not telling me anything I don't know. I got to follow her with 2 fingers.
man, I tell you, you know what? If you don't got a good drummer, you don't got a good band. I hate to. It is that important. It is that important.
That is true. Thank you.
Well, guys, the clock
Don't
is.
let it go to your head, G.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Well,
That's it,
guys,
I'm out.
we've only got.
I'll bring the pin to pop the eagle. Bing!
We are almost up again. We have an 8 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show and a 10 o'clock show and an 11 o'clock show following us tonight. We got a full slate tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on the Artist First Network. So what we're going to do is go down through each of the folks and for some closing comments before we squeeze in probably just part of the last song. And let's see. Let's go in reverse order. Mike, how about you? What about your parting thoughts for the show tonight?
I just want to thank all the listeners for tuning in and checking us out. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on all our social media links. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel where we have all our live feeds. And, if you're interested in obtaining any music or merchandise, definitely become a fan and hit us up and, stay along for the ride. We got a long future ahead of us.
I think you do. You guys are excellent. And Johnny,
Thank you.
What would be the primary? We have your Facebook page posted on the Artist First Network. Is that the main point you'd like folks to go through to support the band and buy your material?
Yeah, it makes the most sense, because it's the easiest media to manipulate, as a computer user. And that can take you to Reverb Nation and all the other pages. Facebook's the best way to go. We check it every day, many times a day, actually. And we're available for... We're looking to get out of Long Island and do some touring, too. So if there's any venues out there in America that like what they hear, contact us. We'll get in the van. We'll take the road trip, And thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. Thank you again for the opportunity, man.
Road trips, yeah. I was on the road for about 6 years. It gets old after a while, but it's a lot of fun memories. And, G, let's go to you. What about your parting thoughts for the broadcast?
Obviously, just definitely want to thank you for having us on, and you've been doing this a long time and supporting artists, so that's awesome. That's cool. So thank you, and just support your local artists, your musicians, especially rock and metal. Fun.
Well, G, our station slogan is, "We can lose money better than anyone."
Exactly.
We are way, way, way ahead in that category. Antonia, sorry you couldn't be with us for longer on the broadcast, but what are your parting thoughts on your birthday today?
My parting thoughts. That's a tough question. Just listen. Hopefully you like what you hear. I mean, we put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. And if you're in the New York area and we're playing live, check the live show. The live show is, full of energy, and you won't hear any Van Halen.
Oh, man, what's wrong with Van Halen? Okay, that's all right. Paul, you got one hell of a voice. You're the last one on the list, but by no means the least. You got an outstanding voice, and we wish all you guys the best of luck. What are your parting thoughts?
Just support live music, man. The music industry got hit hard once the internet came out. It's kind of like a kiss and a curse. You can listen to some great stuff, but you can't make money anymore. So it kind of goes catch-22. But thanks for stations like yours that support local or unsigned artists. And, guys, just follow your dream, man.
Well, folks, we're going to try to get in as much as we can of this last track. It's called Shut Up and Buy Me a Drink. I like that already. But, again, thank you, guys.
That's a classic already.
Yeah, it is.
That's our live staple, basically.
Another excellent title, like my last band, Buck Naked and the Funk Sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all right. Yeah, but we stunk, but we look good. All right. Well, folks, thanks for being with us. Thank you guys from Terror Garden. Don't be strangers. You got friends here. Come back as soon as you're ready.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.